It's alive. Oh, it's alive.
Adventures in time and space, told in future tense.
All radio is dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Look, there comes one of them now.
Good evening, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Brad.
And risen from the coffin, we are the Nosferadudes.
We are. That's true.
Bradley. Bradley. Get that slut out of here.
Yes, Mother.
Get that slut out of here, Bradley.
She's not a slut, Mother. She's not.
She's a bitch.
You got her all wrong.
Why did I go like some weird British aristocrat? She's a bitch. Bradley. Yeah.
Why don't I just go ahead and tell the folks what we're talking about tonight?
Yeah, before they think it's Skeletor and Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, you kind of did go Skeletor. Yeah, He-Man.
Norman.
Yeah.
How dare you bring her here? Brad, what are we watching?
So, we are watching Psycho.
That's right. This is our Halloween offering. We decided to go old school. We wanted to go not too old school. You know, it's like we could have gone Universal Monsters. Right.
Well, we've talked about it before. This is a pivotal point in horror. So yeah, the Alfred Hitchcock stories, kind of transitioning from Universal Monsters into something, and aliens and stuff like that, into something a little bit more just human related,
more
and
cerebral, more thinking film.
A thinking film, yes, and so this is a real turning point in horror history. You son of a bitch.
Well, because what is this considered to be? The first what?
The first slasher?
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. But this is when, again, you take it from a faraway, kind of world or whatever, or aliens or monsters, that kind of thing, to a regular human being, kind of being the killer. It's not a vampire or a werewolf or anything like that. It's just a regular dude.
Yeah. He has no special abilities other than a somewhat of an ability to blend in. The fact that when you meet Norman Bates, you do not immediately think, "Oh, this is a guy I need to be worried about."
Right, exactly.
So
he's very unassuming.
Unassuming would be the word.
Jesus, we're off to a hot start, Kyle.
That's right.
All right. So, what year was this made, Kyle?
This is 1960. 1960.
Right.
So this is right on the cusp of everything going to shit. No.
What?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm saying this takes place. This is before there's a Vietnam, and before there's very rightful civil and social tumult in this country. 1960 is kind of the jumping off point. Some people would think that before this there was the good old days, but
we don't want to go down that road. Nope. Let's stick to horror.
But no, I mean, we all know there were no good old days. But this takes place right before. Some people would point to a film like this as a seminal film marking a loss of innocence in American society. That a film like Psycho This is right after the Hays Code, the production code, ends, and directors, producers like Alfred Hitchcock are able to begin making more controversial films, more titillating films. Titillating?
Titillating. Yeah.
And films that deal with deep psychological horror and trauma, whereas a lot of the films that were happening, prior to this, like you mentioned, it's 50s, it's atomic creature features, it's supernatural monsters, it's all this kind of stuff. And this is marked as one of the first films, if not the first, or at least the best first film that delves into the rotten underlayer of the human condition in American society.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of deep stuff, like you said.
But right, so this is 1960, produced and directed by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yep, man himself.
That's right.
Sir Alfred Hitchcock.
Eventually, yes.
Right?
Eventually, I believe so.
Eventually, he's dead. So, I think when we refer to, he already got the title a while ago. So I think we should refer to him as Sir Alfred Hitchcock.
And
right?
Yeah, we can. We can. Or I mean, most people called him what? Hitch. That was what his friends called him.
Yep, I'll call him Sir Alfred Hitchcock.
But now he's coming off of a lot of big hits. I mean, he was already an established hit maker in the film.
Vertigo, right? Vertigo was before this.
North by Northwest came out.
That
came out the year before this. So he's literally coming off of now. North by Northwest wasn't one of his most popular. I think Vertigo and Rear Window, those are some of his more popular ones. But
and Rear Window was before Psycho.
I believe so, yeah.
Well before Psycho, I think.
And so he's
better look that up.
North by Northwest was not one of the top ones, but it was already it was iconic. I mean, the plane chase with Cary Grant, was I mean, those are things that kind of were already embedding themselves into the consciousness of the moviegoers. And then he dropped Psycho. So and not only that, but he already had a television show. He already had Alfred Hitchcock Presents was on television. So basically that was it was Alfred Hitchcock was people talk about the Twilight Zone now. Alfred Hitchcock Presents was competing with the Twilight Zone.
Right.
And not only that, but Alfred Hitchcock Presents was more along those lines of less supernatural horror and more crime, suspense, thrillers. It was a mixed bag of creepy, scary shit.
Right.
And of course, the iconic, when he walks in, there's the caricature of him, and he walks in, his silhouette matches the outline.
Yep.
And of course, he was already known.
Good evening.
We've got a wonderful program for you tonight. And he was already known for putting himself in the movies. He was doing cameos in his own films before any other director was doing, before Martin Scorsese was doing it, or even putting Martin Scorsese famous for putting his mother in his films.
Right.
But Alfred Hitchcock was already showing up in his own films, and he's in Psycho only briefly. There's a very, very quick shot of him through a window of a store, because he actually, in this one, didn't want his appearance to take away from what was going on in the movie. And from
good call.
Yeah.
Good call. I think it would have taken away from the movie.
Now, this was based on the novel by Robert Bloch, which was a fairly popular novel. Funny note, when the movie was being made, Alfred Hitchcock had his people go out and buy every single copy at all the major bookstores of the book Psycho because he didn't want the story, the ending, to be spoiled for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want people going and buying the book and reading it and going, "Oh, I know what happens in Psycho, guys."
Right.
Now the cast. Before we get to Nosferadudes, we gotta mention the cast. Big cast. We've got, of course, who's Norman Bates?
Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins was a very strategic choice to be in this film because Anthony Perkins was actually, prior to this, kind of set up as a bit of a matinee heartthrob, like a teenage heartthrob character. He always played like the aw shucks good guy in the movies he made before this. He did a few westerns and things like that, and he was always just the aw shucks guy, like, gee, Mr. Johnson,
But that's why it worked so well.
That because he specifically he wanted Anthony Perkins in this movie because Alfred Hitchcock knew that the audience would never in a million years think that there was anything. If that's Anthony Perkins on the screen, this guy must be fine. This guy is safe.
Well, it's kind of funny because even when he's like, Norman Bates, you're like, if I get killed by this guy, like he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he's not.
You're still like even as he's stabbing you, you're like, it could be worse.
He's not so bad. He's not going to eat me. He's going to have a nibble.
I know this guy. He's a nice guy.
He's going to have a nibble.
He's not going to eat me.
He's going to just a nosh. Nah. Just a nosh.
Nah.
He's going to an
he
ear.
Seems like such a nice
just
boy.
Ear,
Yeah. Yep.
Who do we have playing Marion Crane, the female protagonist of the film?
Janet Leigh.
Janet Leigh.
Mother of
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Greatest scream queen of all time.
And Janet Leigh actually jumped at the chance to be in this movie. She basically Alfred Hitchcock made this movie. We'll get into it more, but he made this movie on a very low budget. And he couldn't pay a lot of the actors what their usual rate was. He had to very politely beg them to do the film, here's what I can pay you. Please be in my movie. But Janet Leigh, based on the fact that it was Alfred Hitchcock and based on the fact that she read the book and she was like, I'm in. Absolutely. I want to do this movie because she already kind of had a feeling this was going to be a big pivotal movie. Which it was. And not only that, but she kind of dove right in, there's a lot of kind of sexy, scandalous things, in this movie with Janet Leigh. And she was all about it. She's like, yeah, let's do this. You've got Vera Miles as Lila Crane, the sister of the main character, Marion Crane. John Gavin as Sam Loomis, which is where we get
Dr. Samuel Loomis.
Dr. Loomis.
From Halloween.
That's right. Yep. Because John Carpenter, giant fan of Psycho. And so
hired the daughter of one of the main characters.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, John Carpenter absolutely loved this movie, and he wanted, when he did Halloween, he was trying to get kind of a similar feeling of tension and suspense, building and building and building till you get, to the last however many minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Martin Balsam as P.I. Milton Arbogast.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's a lot of other great character actors in the film, but I want to point out that the voice of Mother Bates, Norma Bates, was actually performed by 3 different actors. There was Virginia Gregg, Paul Jasmine, and Jeanette Nolan. And they were used interchangeably through the film to kind of give Mother Bates kind of an eerie quality to her voice.
It worked.
Yeah, however, the final monologue is performed by Virginia Gregg alone. But for right now, Brad, I think it's time for Nosferadudes.
Wicked, evil, twisted.
I got news for you, pal. And we've got a story. I just read this story today. It was in Variety from yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. It came out yesterday evening. Terrifier star sues producers.
Yeah.
Alleging
I heard about this.
alleging unpaid royalties and filming nude scene without consent.
Yeah. Right.
So, actress Catherine Corcoran has sued the producers and series director Damien Leone, alleging breach of contract and the distribution of sexually explicit materials without consent.
Ooh.
So now, Catherine Corcoran plays who in the original Terrifier?
Oh, the name of the character? She's Tara's friend. But I don't remember her name.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh, well, then why is it?
I thought you would know.
What you asked me for? Oh,
I thought you would know. But yeah, so...
let's just look it up. Oh, my God.
But yeah, Catherine Corcoran, of course, she is the blonde bestie.
She was the blonde best friend in Terrifier.
Right. And, of course, she has the most iconic death scene in the entire film. Dawn, because she is the one who gets chainsawed in half.
Yeah, she gets hung upside down.
It's with a.
She was a bandsaw. No, not a bandsaw. It's not a hacksaw either.
It's a hacksaw.
Oh man, it was
a hacksaw. Yeah,
it's a hacksaw.
Yeah. She gets hacked.
Okay, all right. I know my saws. Well, there's different saws.
There are,
right? There's a lot of different saws, you got to know what saws are what.
There are different saws. You're right, Brad.
Right. So,
would you like to name?
This is a hacksaw.
Would you like to name more of them?
Table saw, bandsaw.
That's two.
What did I say? Hacksaw. Ho.
So yeah, she
circular saw.
That's right. That's you did good, Brad. You did really good. I'm gonna let you go pet the bunnies now.
There's more. There's more. There are more saws.
But she has the iconic death. She gets hung upside down by her ankles, and Art the Clown
sawed in half.
Saws her in half from her groin.
The long way.
The long way from the groin up down to the head. And it's the major kind of set piece of the film.
Right.
And apparently Catherine Corcoran claims, and this is all stuff that has to kind of come out in court. But I mean, she is suing Dark Age Cinema and Fuzz on the Lens Productions, as well as the producer Phil Falcone and Damien Leone. And it looks like she's even suing like the property that is Art the Clown. I don't know how you see that.
She's actually suing Art.
Yeah. But yeah, it's 7 claims for relief, including distribution of sexually explicit materials, breach of contract, and promissory fraud. Apparently, she is alleging that the sequence where she gets sawed in half required her to hang upside down by her ankles for over 10 hours in below freezing temperatures. She was hired on an upfront per diem rate, a very low upfront per diem rate, which for any layman out there means by the day. She was getting paid for by the day. If they required her for 3 days, she got paid for 3 days, and it was a rate per day. With the agreement that she would receive 1% of the profits from the film, as well as potential future franchise entries and related merchandise, including other licenses of the intellectual property. So now, the films so far have grossed more than $105 million.
Okay, can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
I'm not alleging anything. It's just, Terrifier 1 was 2016.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was quite a while ago. That was 9 years ago. So Terrifier has blown up, and now all this is coming out.
Yeah, it seems.
I'm not saying that there wasn't. They may have been wrong, and she didn't sign consent, and all of that. That could all very well be true. I just wonder why now, or is that because is that part of this? Where it's like, well, they didn't even pay her, so now she's suing. Because if that's it, then that makes sense.
Well, and here's one of the things that happens frequently when you have an independent film. I mean, the folks from Blair Witch are going through, something similar. They agreed to a certain contract for their performances, and then Blair Witch becomes this international, global, event. And now all of a sudden that money that was agreed to doesn't look like it's enough, compared to how big the property has gotten. The problem comes is, who is her deal with? Because it would be very easy for filmmakers. I don't know currently what their business, their studio or production company or whatever. I don't know what the current names are, or how those are licensed, or their tax paperwork and all that. But it would be very easy for them to basically shift the rights to a different company and say, okay, well, now from here on out, yes, this first company still exists and has rights to this much of the money that we're making on the productions. But now this other company that we've created gets the lion's share of everything. That's where the primary money goes. And hey, your deal isn't with that company. Your deal was with this little company we formed when we made the first movie. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying those are the kind of things that happen. Down the road, as rights change hands, as other studios and producers get involved, and they have their own kind of banners and placards and things get kind of wishy-washy, and all of a sudden that company that you made the deal with on the original movie doesn't exist anymore. And so you don't get any money. You agreed to 1% profit on all franchise films related to this movie that you were in. But now all of a sudden that company you made the agreement with either doesn't exist or doesn't really have the stake in the property that they had when you started.
I got you.
Now, so here's the thing. And I think this is probably why this other stuff is involved, because if it was just that, because she's claiming that it's this, unbelievably profitable IP.
Okay. All right. So that's right in the lawsuit.
Yeah.
So, okay. Never mind. Yep.
Yeah,
I
it's
get it now.
it's this unbelievably profitable IP, and the royalty payments that said she was due were getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And they didn't seem to match up with what she thought. It's like, she's seeing box office numbers, and now I'm getting these like little checks, and she's claiming she has not received back pay that she says she's owed.
Yep.
Since July 2024.
I hope she has a copy of that contract.
And she says she only received about $1,800 up to that point. And she received no reason why that the royalty payments ceased or where the remainder of the payments were. She said all told, she's only made $6,400 off of the films.
Terrifying.
Yeah. She says she claimed she confronted them and was brushed off. Now, and then this is where I think that maybe where her lawyer possibly, and this is conjecture, I'm not a lawyer, I've not represented Miss Corcoran in a court. And
Nor should you.
And I don't have a law degree, but I watch a lot of Law and Order.
Right, so you're qualified.
Right. So usually when your case is kind of weak on the money stuff, that's when
this is all from Law and Order.
This is all Law and Order training here.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay.
This is, I learned from some of the best. Usually when you don't have a really strong case on the money issue, that's when you see the stuff like, oh, and by the way, when I was brought onto the movie, I didn't agree to a nude scene, and then all of a sudden there's a nude scene, and it's like if it was about the nude stuff, then the lawsuit would be just about the nude stuff, right? This is really about the money stuff, and because the case might be a little weak on the money stuff, let's add in this other stuff about how you were maybe possibly sort of perhaps tricked into a nude scene. You know what I mean? And then she's also claiming that because of the conditions of the set, that they were so cold, she was freezing, and she had to hang upside down so much that it caused some swelling in her head, and she had to go see a doctor, and doctor diagnosed her with cranial swelling and eardrum damage, and all. So it's sort of like if it was about the cranial swelling and the eardrum damage, that would have been like 2 weeks out of filming. There would have been a lawsuit about that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what she's saying is, if I'm going to take my clothes off on film and I'm going to be hanging upside down naked,
yeah,
I need to get some kind of guarantee that it's going to be worth it.
Right.
Like beyond 1,800 or 6,400 or whatever she made. No, like $6,400 is not enough for her, and I get it, to take your clothes off on screen and hang upside down and subject yourself to those kind of conditions, because that stuff exists. Like Friday the 13th Part 4, right? That famously the girl kept having to get in the water right. in one of the death scenes, and it was freezing. And the water was freezing, and she kept having to get back in the water for take after take after take after take. And the gentleman who's playing Jason, I think it was Ted White. I think that's Ted White in 4. Put his foot down at one point and said, "If you don't get it this time, I'm walking. Like, I'm out of here, because that poor girl is gonna, she's gonna get hypothermia."
Yeah.
And that stuff exists. So like you think of the first movie and kind of where that was shot, right? So she's not like naked in a comfortable bed, you know what I mean, in a romantic sex scene, which is
Right.
its whole other thing. She's hanging naked in some kind of warehouse style setting, with everybody staring at her, with nobody covering her up. And yeah, she's hanging upside down. All the blood is rushing right to her head, which can be good for you. But I think over and over and over again, maybe not so much.
Well,
Okay,
go ahead.
All I'm saying is that if she's going to go through all of that, yeah, we're working it out where I see a future maybe with this thing. So if you do a 2 or a 3 or a 4, like I went in on that. And they probably said, yeah, sure, why not? And now Terrifier's taken off and she's coming to collect and they don't want to give up any of the money.
Well, and that's one side of the argument, right?
Yeah.
However, she does admit, and I don't know if this was statements made to Variety or if this is in the lawsuit itself, but she was covered in between takes, although she claims that the kind of blanket or whatever that they were wrapping her up in eventually became so saturated with the fake blood that it really wasn't insulating her very well. But they were making attempts to cover her up. That's going to be the argument that they'll make, is that we did cover her up in between takes. And they did apparently slide a table in so that the top half of her body could be brought to a 90-degree
position.
Yeah, a 90-degree perpendicular for her to lay on until they would start the next take.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So...
See, as you can tell, folks, I am learning all about this in real time, so I am just jumping back and forth. I can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you would agree, sir, that
I would be the worst person on the stand. I'd be like, no, I get your side. I don't know what to do with this thing.
So could you state for the jury that you agree with what I've just said?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I know. I get it, man. You're right.
But like
you know
I said,
what? Maybe I did do it.
I got to interject. There's for anybody that doesn't watch Dropout TV, there's a show they have on there called Make Some Noise, where they do like little impromptu sketch stuff. A little bit like it's not quite Whose Line Is It Anyway, but it's in the same kind of feeling. And they did a great bit. They got a prompt that was a defendant who interrupts his lawyer at the worst time. And one of the performers goes through this amazing, like the closing monologue of a courtroom drama, talking about how the prosecutor has effectively tried to bamboozle you, men and women of the jury, and establish my client when he couldn't possibly have been there, and this, that. He goes, now, is my client a smart man? And one of the other actors goes, yeah, no, I killed him.
Yeah.
So it's like, but anyway, I digress.
You did digress.
So what you have then is, I'm sure that the argument's going to be made that if she had a medical issue that resulted from, because all productions, even independent productions, are usually required, if they're like a real movie production, they know they have to carry stuff like insurance and things like that.
Yep. Sure.
So that because if someone gets hurt, you need to be able, I mean, that's like the famous thing that Tom Cruise has to insure himself now because of all the stunts and everything that he does on his own. Mm-hmm. So studios won't insure him in case he gets hurt, because that's going to be a crap ton of money, for this big Hollywood star. So even the smallest productions have insurance that way in case anyone gets hurt. It's the production company that pays for the medical bills and whatever else. Mm-hmm. So if she had a medical issue that arose from filming that scene, and she says she got diagnosed by a doctor with this cranial swelling and eardrum damage, that's something that would have or should have been handled at that time. And that's why I say that when stuff like this comes up in a lawsuit this many years later, it's sort of like that's when like her
she
lawyer
was still she's still under the assumption that she's going to get paid something up until the point where she's realizing she's not.
but
right?
But legally, if you're hurt doing something, the idea is you report it and do all that stuff right away.
Okay.
Just like it would be with a workman's comp. I can't go back months later. I can't go back years later.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying from her point of view, like if you foresee like a big franchise coming, like maybe she foresaw this. Like maybe she looked at it like we look at it, like we looked at it. Like this could be a new Freddy, new Jason, whatever. You're gonna grin and bear it and maybe not report, that you got hurt and maybe try to power through because Damien or whoever promised you it's all gonna be worth it. Or something like that. Or you saw it that it was all gonna be worth it. And then years go by and bupkis. And now you're like, wait a minute, you fucked me. Like, so but what I'm saying is from her point of view, like small productions, right? Small productions, not a big budget, usually need favors from actors to like chip in to do and go above and beyond what they would do with over a big production. Right? Like just like Blair Witch and those actors and what they're saying is like they're writers that you said it, right?
Yeah.
They go above and beyond. So she kind of did what I'm saying is she kind of did her part is what she's saying. I did my part. Now I'm here to collect. Like I'm here to get my reward for what I fucking went through back there. And didn't report to the doctors so that you guys didn't get dinged on your insurance and all that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I did you guys a favor. I went above and beyond because I knew that this was going to be big. And that's why I signed the contract we signed about, future royalties or whatever, future money and from future sequels. And now you're not paying me. So
objection, hearsay.
Well, no, I completely get that. She again, we talked about it before about, kind of making sacrifices and stuff like that. And she took her clothes off in a small production. You know what I mean? So all the blankets and all the, tables they slid under her, still don't account for what she had to do in a small production when she thought she was going to get a payoff at the end, and now she's not getting it, so now she's suing.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling, regardless of how, because like I said, my feeling about it is I think that the medical stuff and the nudity and that comes up because her lawyer probably doesn't think the money case is super strong. So if we can provide evidence that you were diagnosed by a doctor with this issue, you're at least guaranteed some money, right? Even if we don't get the 1% of all royalties or whatever that you thought you were going to get. Right. However, I think this is probably going to go like most of these types of lawsuits go. This is going to go to the initial hearing where Damien Leone and Falcone and those guys, their lawyer's going to try and get it dismissed outright.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. If the judge doesn't dismiss it, I feel like it will immediately go to fuck you, go away money, settlement. It'll be they'll just give her, they'll just write her what she
wants. Well, yeah, that's what she's.
Well, but they're not going to give.
That's what she's asking for. They're not. You're saying they're not going to give her what she thinks. They're only going to give her a small fraction of it.
Yeah.
That's what a settlement usually is. Like
Yeah.
you ask for the world and they give you half the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's how I foresee this going. If I had to look into my crystal ball, that's how I foresee this going.
But she probably gets that. Maybe her lawyer even told her that. Like her lawyer might have been like, "Look, we could probably get a settlement out of this. I'm probably not going to get you the whatever a million or whatever. But I can get you like 500,000."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Okay, fine, that's fine."
Yeah, and I mean it's also
something like that.
This may also be cropping up because another reason why actors take small parts in independent horror films is because they think that it's going to turn into, oh, this is my break.
Yeah,
I'm going to get lots of other stuff now from this. And when that doesn't happen, that's when you start to really start to look at how big is this royalty check this month? Not that big. I don't know. I might have to talk to somebody about that. Well, because they're actors. They're very famously actors from back in the 60s and 70s that when it got to the late 70s, early 80s, they were no longer hot properties, in the television scene, and they lived off their royalty payments for the rest of their lives. Yep. So.
Yep, I got you.
Like Don Knotts. Don Knotts was one of those guys. Like he made like small like appearances on like the Tonight Show and stuff, but Don Knotts wasn't getting like parts like after Three's Company.
Oh well, after Three's Company, I mean,
yeah, but that's what I'm
how
saying.
Old? How Jesus? He was like in his 70s after Three's Company.
But he actually, I think he was only in his. People lived hard.
Maybe they made makeup.
But
by today's standards, it would be 70s. You know how like we say that all the time. People like back then just like looked older.
Yeah, it's the drinking and the smoking. That's why they all looked
older.
older.
Probably, yeah, that's true. It's the 2 packs of Pall Malls a day.
Yeah, but guys like Don Knotts, Paul Lynde, they lived off royalties like till the end of their days. Yep. That's how they
had Match Game, didn't he? Was it Match Game?
It was Hollywood Squares.
Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, he was the center square.
Just before, Hollywood Squares.
I think.
Well, was that his big one?
That was his big one. He was the center square before Joan Rivers was the center square.
Okay.
Oh, and now you know how old we fucking are.
Jesus Christ. Circle gets the square.
Very quick, unless you had anything, very quickly, I wanted to mention Robert Englund. Robert Englund is getting his star
on the Walk of Fame on Halloween.
On Halloween Day, which should have been when John Carpenter got his. But instead...
But didn't John Carpenter say he can he kind of let Robert Englund have it, kind of... Right?
Oh, I don't know what the politics of the stars on the Walk of Fame
I don't. You know what? I don't know. Yeah, it's a rumor. Maybe not. I don't know.
It's just a rumor.
I don't know. But yeah, good for Robert Englund. Well deserved. Love it. So
yeah, because I mean, to be honest, he did a lot more shit before Nightmare on Elm Street and even after. He's more than just Freddy Krueger. He was in all those Roger Corman flicks and. He's been around a long. Well,
he did a bunch of his own horror and stuff. Post Freddy Krueger. So a lot of that stuff is pretty good.
Yeah. So, Brad, did you have anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, we're into this, man. So I think we should probably start the movie and get this thing going.
I'm gonna start the movie.
I'm just gonna go ahead and start this thing.
So we're back to Psycho.
Psycho,
a Universal picture, but it didn't start out that way. Originally, it was set to be a Paramount picture, and Paramount actually still owned the rights to it for quite a while. However, it was filmed on Universal's set. So when you go like on the Universal backlot tour. That's where the Psycho House and the Bates Motel are. But that's because Paramount, it was weird. Like Paramount initially wanted they had the rights to it. And they were okay apparently with owning the rights to it. But apparently whoever was running Paramount at the time thought the movie was too filthy to be filmed at Paramount.
Oh my goodness.
So Alfred
Thank
Hitchcock...
God we don't fucking live like back in the 50s and 60s. Thank fucking God. Oh my God.
So,
I would have been such a fucking outcast. Oh my God.
Apparently Alfred Hitchcock had to make this like huge deal with Paramount and then like get permission from Universal to film it on their lot and construct everything on their lot. And Universal was down. Universal was cool with it. Yeah, you know, they were the horror movie guys. They were like, yeah, fuck it, come on. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And but it was like this whole thing, like Alfred Hitchcock literally busted his ass to make this movie. He made this movie with his own fucking money. He took his own money.
Well, he didn't take a salary, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, he literally like produced this movie. He put up the money for it. It was his television crew that shot it and did the whole thing. And that's even why it's in black and white, because if you think about it, North by Northwest comes out in 1959. That's in color. Color was already, color films were the thing.
Yep.
But because he had to like save, because it's his money, he can't go out on a huge limb. Like this, if this movie failed, it would have probably bankrupted Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay, so the black and white then.
Yeah.
Better, no? Because
absolutely.
When you watch this movie, there's a lot of shadow and stuff like that, and different shots with light, kind of like play with light and shadow, and it's impressive and it adds to the movie. So if it was in color, I don't know that you really get that. So
right, they basically were like, okay, we're going to do it in black and white, and then of course Alfred Hitchcock and his cinematographers and everybody, like they know they were already doing, like Alfred Hitchcock Presents was in black and white because that it was television. So to keep the cost low for TV, almost everything on TV was still being done in black and white.
Right.
And so they already knew the medium. They already were very familiar with it. And they were like, they immediately, when they're like, okay, we're going to do it in black and white to save money, they're like, oh, okay, we know what to do. Yeah. And so they started playing around with the light, they use a lot of mirrors and things. And the depictions of, because it's in black and white, only shades of gray, come through. So they're even playing with that in some cases, like, in this beginning scene, there's even like low level, and it's crazy to talk about, but it's Alfred Hitchcock, so you have to like bring it up. In the beginning scene, number one, super sexy fucking opener, right? You've got the guy playing Sam Loomis. You got John Gavin, who's Mr. Muscle Man, looks like he's Mr. Olympia.
Looks good.
And you got Janet Leigh.
Looks damn good.
Looks damn good. Janet Leigh is hot as shit. She's there in just a bra and a slip.
Gorgeous woman. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And number one, to have Janet Leigh appear in a bra in a film, like, you were immediately going to get guys coming to the theater. Some of the promotional materials were
definitely going to get a lot of teenage boys to the theater. Yeah.
Some of the promotional stuff was done with her in the bra, like pictures of her in the bra.
Probably under so many mattresses.
Yeah. And that was the whole thing, was he's like, I'm going to open this movie with the most scandalous scene that could be seen on film at this time. To see a woman in her brassiere having a sexual tryst with a guy in a hotel room was like that.
Over the shower scene.
To open the film this way, to have the first scene be this,
was
big.
I gotcha.
Was big. Yep. Because you figure at this time you still have Lucy and Desi in separate beds, right?
Yes, right. Yeah.
So to have these two rolling around on this bed in a hotel with her and her nothing but her bra and her slip, that's like, whoa, what is he doing? And
well, she's not a goody two shoes in this movie.
Oh no. Like that's the thing. She is the one. He is still like dealing. His character Sam Loomis is still dealing with like a divorce, like a really messy divorce, and he's like paying alimony and all this stuff. So if they find out that he's like fooling around with this woman, with Marion Crane, that could cause trouble for him. So that's why they're meeting in hotel rooms, is to keep things on the down low. He doesn't want.
She's very very deceptive though. So her character is not. She's not a good. Well, she's not a terrible person, but I'm saying she's not a goody two shoes. But the way she speaks in the movie, she's very polite, and all that stuff, and she's very sweet sounding and soft spoken. So her persona is more superficial. So it's right. She's got this kind of sweet outer layer to her, but she's, she rips off her boss. Right.
Well, and that's the thing. She when we first meet her they're having this tryst in this hotel room, and she wants to make the relationship legit. But yet she's more than willing to keep doing this. Like, she's doing this whole thing on the down low. Like, it's two unmarried people meeting up in a hotel room in secret to have sex on her lunch break.
Right.
And it's when he's in town. Like, he's basically like, this starts in Phoenix, Arizona. He lives in I think it's a fictional town called Fairvale, which is supposed to be across the border in Southern California. So he's like driving out like on business to see her at this hotel room, and they're like shacking up, on her lunch break from the real estate office. And so, she's already a woman who is okay with what most of the country at this point in time would consider kind of dirty stuff. Like, you're not supposed to be doing what they're doing.
Right. But like, she doesn't present that way. So, who else in the movie doesn't present the way that they actually are? Right. So was that on purpose, or like that kind of duality, kind of as the kind of cross character to Norman Bates?
I feel, and this is just me from like a cinematic viewpoint, I feel like Alfred Hitchcock starts out by taking this beautiful, outwardly polite, proper individual, and then you watch her doing underhanded things. And she's doing them for what she believes, like most people who do bad things because they think they're doing them for the right reason. They think that they either have no choice, or this is what I need to do.
They're justified.
They're justifying it in their heads. So she works in this real estate office, and this big rich dude with his cowboy hat and his, flashing his money. Right. He's literally
hat.
This big buyer comes in who's going to buy a piece of property from the real estate agent that she works for. And he's paying $40,000 in cash.
Yeah. Yep. Whereas
literally
they usually just take, right. It's usually a check or a money order.
Or a wire transfer or something like that.
Or something like that. Yep.
And he's just waving that money around in Marion Crane's face.
Yeah.
And it's after she's had this lunch break sex capade with her boyfriend Sam
Lunch
Loomis.
break sex party. Lunch sex party.
And the topic of conversation turns to, which you get the feeling it's like the conversation is always coming back to his divorce, the alimony, his debts. That he's like, if I could just get out from under all this debt that I'm in, we could be free to be together. But because I'm burdened with all this money that I owe people, we have to keep this like secret.
Yeah. I got debt too. I don't rip off my boss.
Well, so she thinks, she gets in her head, this is easy money. It's right here in my hand. Yeah. I'm entrusted to take it to the safe deposit box.
Yep.
I could just keep it, run away to Fairvale, give it to Sam, have him buy out his debt, and then we can be together.
And then what? Like, your boss isn't going to miss 40 grand. So, like, this is 1960. So, like, I don't know. Can we adjust that? Can you Google can you adjust that for inflation?
Yeah, let's see. Now, while I do that, though, I'd like to point out, so we talked about how the first scene, she's in her bra and slip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's initially, like, we're seeing these two people, and they're doing something, like, scandalous. But it's not, like, straight up, like, evil. Oh,
$437,000.
There you go.
It's like basically $500,000.
There you go.
She took. Holy shit. How the fuck do you think you're going to get away with that? Like, who do you think you are that you're just going to like, yup, sure, boss. I'll deposit this in the safe.
Well, what she's counting on is the fact that the only person in her life that knows that she is in this relationship with Sam Loomis is her sister Lila.
Right.
No one else knows.
Right.
So if they came looking for her, no one but her sister, who she's like, that's my sister, she's not going to give me up. No one but her sister knows she might be in Fairvale.
Yeah.
But so I want to talk about, like, come back to the color thing, right? Oh, here comes Alfred Hitchcock. I think he's going to walk by. Oh, she just saw her boss. And her boss is like, what are you doing in the car?
So is the crossing of the boss and looking into the car the inspiration for Pulp Fiction? When Marcellus walks across the street and sees...
That's a
Bruce
good grab.
Willis?
I'm willing to bet it is. That's a... Yeah, you just
right?
pointed out... Yeah, you just pointed out a great thing. That's got to be.
I think so. Yeah,
that's got to be.
Yep.
But so we see her in the first scene. She's wearing the white bra, white slip, and they're doing this scandalous thing, but it's not out and out like evil. It's not like, it's scandalous, but he's not like he's divorced. He's just trying to keep it a secret because it could affect his alimony and all that.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and I don't know what the laws were at the time, why he's worried about that, but apparently it's going to fuck everything up if his ex-wife knows he's with another woman. And so she got the white bra, and we talked about the black and white. So right after she leaves the office with the envelope full of cash, knowing she's not going to drop it off, she's going to take it and run.
Mm-hmm.
We see her at home packing her bags, getting ready to go. And what color bra does she have on? Black bra, because now she's a criminal.
She's evil.
Now, right, she stole. And so now she's evil.
Yep.
And
cool stuff, man.
And that was purposeful on Hitchcock's part. Because it's all, and we won't get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's all leading up to the shower scene, which he had stated the shower scene was supposed to be, because right before she gets in the shower, you see her kind of the wheels turning, and one of the last things she says to Norman is, "I'm going back to Phoenix."
Right.
Because now she's realized, you know what?
Well, after the conversation with Norman,
she's like, you know what? This was stupid.
Right.
And we'll talk more about it then. But that, like, it's all leading up to that. And the shower scene is supposed to be akin to a baptism. She's washing herself clean because she's getting ready to go back and make amends.
Yep.
But so from there on out, she has the black bra on because she's the bad girl. You know?
Yep.
But that's the thing is, if this was a color film, maybe you would get that. You might get that play of color, but because
Alfred Hitchcock probably would have done some other things, cinematically that we would have loved. It's just that since they were doing black and white, hey, let's do the bra change. Let's have the shadows. Let's do it this way. Let's do it that way. But had he done it in color, I'm sure it would have been brilliant. I mean, I've never seen it any other way except for the remake, which I hope we don't really get into. But but I do like the black and white because I do like all the stuff he did there with the shadows and like we were talking about the bras and stuff.
Yeah, because what happens is once you have the film in black and white, it simplifies some of those things, some of those themes. So you can do just those black and white comparisons. And not only that, but I mean, if you think about it, the use of the bra as like a signifier.
Are we talking too much about Janet Leigh's bra so far? Like we're an hour into this. I feel like we've spent like 20 minutes talking about Janet Leigh's bra.
Well, this is the last thing I'll say about it. So the bra, the use of the bra being the signifier for like the good and bad.
Yep.
Because like, what is, a bra? It's underwear. It's the thing you hide. It's the thing closest into you that you hide. And so in the beginning, she's a woman doing kind of a scandalous, naughty thing, but she wishes that it was on the up and up. She wants to have a relationship with this guy. She wants to marry this guy.
Yeah.
And so the thing closest to her is like the white, oh, I'm doing this naughty thing, but I really want to be a good girl. But then when she does the bad girl thing, the thing closest to her is the black bra. So that's it.
And now we won't mention her bra the rest of the show.
We'll try not to. But you mentioned the remake. This movie did spawn 3 sequels, a remake, a made-for-television movie, and a TV series.
Yes.
So you've got Psycho, 1960, 1983. After Alfred Hitchcock has died, they make Psycho 2.
Okay. Psycho 2. I can't remember if we talked about it on the show or if we talked about it privately. But listen, I love this movie. I love the original Psycho. I don't just appreciate it, which was another question I had. I do really love this movie. I love like I said, the light and shadow and the suspense, and Janet Leigh's great and Anthony Perkins is amazing. However, that being said, Psycho 2 is really good. I mean, really good. So, when I am in the mood for a Psycho movie, oftentimes I watch Psycho 2. Psycho 2 is the Halloween 4. It's the Nightmare on Elm Street 3, right? You are torn because in your heart, the original has a certain place in your heart, but which one do you watch the most? You know what I mean? So it's that really, really good sequel. Because 3 was okay. 4 was okay. 4 showed the actual poisoning, the strychnine poisoning.
Right.
But I love Psycho, but Psycho 2 was really good. Anthony Perkins is, I think, even better, and I think that's why the movie is better, because his performance is even a step above what he did here. Also, fun fact, your boy, Dean Cundy, did the cinematography for Psycho 2.
Right.
He was director of photography. So you have that Dean Cundy feel, right? Again, another tie to Halloween, like the Psycho and Halloween's, so you had that, plus you had Anthony Perkins just really good. Plus, Robert Loggia.
Yeah. For Robert Loggia.
Right. So you get all of that in Psycho 2. And highly enjoyable sequel. Definitely.
Yeah. And you got Psycho 2, Psycho 3, that's 86. 87, Bates Motel, the TV movie, comes out. Then we
I don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't recall
TV movie. Who was Anthony Perkins in it?
I don't think he was. But Psycho 4, The Beginning. Now that's the one. That's 1990. I can't remember. I can't remember when Anthony Perkins died. But I know
died right after, didn't he?
Because that's the one with
1992. Yeah, he died like right after.
The Beginning, I think, is the one with, isn't it Henry Thomas? Is Henry Thomas plays Norman Bates?
Wow, Henry Thomas.
Because that's the one where they show him poisoning his mother and her lover.
His mother, yes. Yep. Did I watch that at your house? Did we watch it?
I think we did.
Yes, Henry Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
watched it. I think we watched it at your house, yeah.
And then, of course, the much beloved 1998 remake, shot-for-shot remake by, isn't it Paul Verhoeven?
I guess. Yeah.
Starring Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates.
Yeah. But Vince Vaughn, aside from what was that movie he did with Jon Favreau?
Swingers. Wasn't it
Swingers?
Yeah.
Swingers? Yeah. Swingers. But I think Swingers was before Psycho, right? So he had a little bit going for him. But this is before, all
before
his
Dodgeball.
big stuff.
Before Dodgeball.
This is before Dodgeball, right?
Before Wedding Crashers.
Before Wedding Crashers, right?
Yeah.
Before what's that movie with Will Ferrell? The college movie, Luke Wilson, Old School.
Old School, yeah.
That was what really, I think, launched him, right?
And the Janet Leigh character in that was played by who? Do you remember?
Anne Heche, I believe.
Anne Heche.
Yeah.
So okay. God rest her soul. R.I.P.
Careful.
But Janet Leigh.
Okay, I know.
Or Anne Heche.
I know. Okay. All right.
And then, of course, most recently, 2013 to 2017, they had the Bates Motel TV series with
I watched the first couple seasons.
I couldn't. That was one of those ones I couldn't get into it.
It was pretty good. I thought that the kid who did I mean, he's a grown man now. That played Norman was very good. He stars in like The Good Doctor or something like that about the autistic doctor.
Yeah, he stars in one of the most problematic medical dramas on television.
Okay, I am not talking specifically about that show. I am simply talking about the actor.
I am a surgeon. I am a surgeon.
Oh, man.
Like,
Are you
and
are you through? Are you through? I'm just saying.
And by the way, I just want to make it clear, I am in no way, shape, or form making fun of autistic people or even that particular autistic character. But that is a huge swing to take on a show where you are supposed to be doing a nuanced portrayal of an autistic character. Just screaming.
Freddie Highmore is his name.
Yes.
So, okay, we don't have to explain that you were making fun of an autistic doctor. I'm saying that Freddie Highmore is the actor that played Norman in the show, and I thought he was very good. Vera Farmiga was Mrs. Bates, so
right.
Norma. So, those two were and it's the character you would expect those characters to carry the show, but they were really good. Kind of the rest of the show, it got a little weird. Like his brother got into like growing weed, and like there's a whole storyline there. And I'm like, none of this. I don't care.
Yeah.
About any of this. Like stick with Norman. Like Norman and his mother. I don't need the brother. I don't need a brother coming in from out of town who and did a fine job as far as that character, but I'm like, why is this here?
Yeah.
Why is this in this show? So
one thing that we want to talk about is like the whole first half of this film.
Yeah.
Is this huge, just constant building, ratcheting up of tension.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of Marion Crane just driving.
Speaking of driving, and it's probably man, were the windshield wipers back then that terrible?
I think they would have to.
Or is it just the effect of the movie, that the fact that some guy is standing on top of the prop car with a hose and he's just like dousing the windshield like it would never be doused even in the heaviest of rainstorms? No, but I mean, the windshield wipers were doing her no favors. None.
Yeah, no,
they did not clear anything. She couldn't see shit.
No, it was it definitely. I have to think that the wiper technology was not that good.
No, thank God we live in the times we live in, man. Where the windshield wipers are as good as they are. Anyway, continue with your thought.
But it's all this building of tension. She has like close calls with like a cop. She goes and tries to switch cars. Mm-hmm. And yet still, like, in her effort to try to be, like, nonchalant about the fact that she's trying to buy a new car, trade in her car and buy a new one, she just keeps calling more and more attention to herself. And
no one in this movie is good at playing it cool.
No,
not one character in this movie can play it cool. Not Marion, not Norman. Norman comes under questioning from the private investigator, and he might as well just be like sweating and doing this because he's just cracking under questioning. And then later in the movie, when Sam and Marion's sister come in to check into the hotel, they're like, we're married couple, and they're completely transparent. No one can play it cool.
But and the thing that gets me is Norman Bates, like, so they establish, like, she pulls up, she ends up off the highway. At some point she pulls off the highway and she kind of like doesn't realize it. It's just because it's so torrentially raining. And so she pulls into the Bates Motel because all she sees is the neon sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like, if you or I pulled into the Bates Motel and got a room, I think you and I would have, like, a great stay. Norman Bates would probably seem like just your average, like, lonely, motel owner. We might have a nice little chat with him. And then
why not?
we'd check out the next day, get in our car, and drive on.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But in comes this absolutely gorgeous woman.
Mm.
Not only that, but we find out later he kind of has a thing for blondes.
Yep.
And that's like immediately, like, I don't know, like, just like what the little bit that I've studied about serial killers, right? I think that Norman probably doesn't right off the get-go think, oh, I'm going to kill her. However,
well, no, because the later on in the movie, it's the switch in his head
right.
when he switches from himself to his mother. So it's not him. So as he's getting closer to Marion, and as they're talking, and they're not really flirting, but there's that
he's
thought
having
that
thoughts.
is rattling in his head. He's having thoughts. So the switch goes off, and his mother is now saying, no, you're not doing that. And then she is doing the killing.
And then mother
to punish Norman
takes over.
Right. Mother takes over. Exactly.
As the psychiatrist in the end, with his big explanation.
Yep. Basil exposition.
However, like Norman from the get-go, and I think that this is a thing that I'm sure people have noticed, but I probably just kind of like never, just like casually watching the film, I don't think I've ever noticed, is even though in the beginning, Norman, I don't think has any thoughts of, I'm going to murder this girl, but when he looks at the keys on the wall, and then kind of makes it look like he's thinking about it, but then he like then directly grabs like cabin 1 and gives it to her. Well, that's because cabin 1 adjoins the office. And what does Norman have in the office?
Oh, he has a cut. He has a hole cut through the wall.
Yeah, he pulls a painting. A classic painting comes down, and he's got a peephole.
Yep. Well, not classic Porky's, because this is way before Porky's.
No, it's just it's a classic perv move. He's a peeping Tom. Yeah. He pulls that painting down. Later on that night, he pulls that painting down, and he's spying on her before she gets in the shower. And so the idea being, like, from the moment he meets her, he already is horny for her. He's already having lustful thoughts about her. And he immediately sets her up, like, so that, so I can spy on you and get some kind of a sexual thrill out of it.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, then it's immediately after he puts her in cabin 1 that he goes up and she overhears the argument that he has with Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother, doesn't like these sluts and harlots coming in and, wants him to get rid of her and all this kind of stuff. And he's trying to argue, no, she seems like a nice girl, and it's raining. She's, tired and hungry and the whole bit. And
I like how they drop in like these like little hints that he's just not quite there. Like, the movie's called Psycho, so you kind of know what you're getting. But what I'm saying is, like, you do meet Norman Bates, even though the movie's called Psycho. You kind of forget it. You're sitting and you're watching Norman Bates, and he's like, oh man, he's a really nice guy. But like as he kind of gets her room and stuff like that, he won't say the word bathroom.
Right.
Right. So that was like her first, like, that was weird.
Yeah.
Okay. But like kind of moving on. And then he brings her, he tells her he's going to, whip her something up to eat, cause she's coming off the road and everything. So, he asks her to have dinner with him. And so here's this, like you said, this gorgeous woman, right? This Janet Leigh inviting you into the room to have dinner. And what does he do? He can't do it.
He
right?
starts.
So he's like, let's eat in the office, because he won't go in the room.
He starts to take a step, and then thinks twice and backs up.
Right.
And then invites
so
to the
they're
office.
just dropping these kind of subtle hints, like, it's coming, guys. Like, it's coming. There's these little things that are off.
And it's all this like weird, like, and you get from the argument with Mother, it's these weird like moral controls. Like, no, I can't come into your room, but we could go like to the parlor in the office and sit and eat, because that's more proper. There's not a bed there, right? But then he brings her into the parlor behind the office, and what is it filled with?
Oh, all his taxidermy birds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, well, yeah. So now another red flag.
Yep.
Right. And then obviously it starts to kind of come out as she's talking to him. He's starting to kind of lose it a little bit. Right.
And she starts to eat the sandwich. He's brought her, I think, like just ham and cheese sandwiches and milk. That was going to be his dinner, right?
Yeah.
And she starts to eat. And what is the first thing he says when she starts eating the sandwich?
Oh, what? I don't know.
He says, "You eat like a bird."
Oh, you eat like a bird. Yeah. Right.
While they're sitting with all these dead stuffed birds all around the room. I'm like, foreshadow much?
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it's during the conversation where it's one of these things where, and Anthony Perkins, for kind of the Bobby Soxer, maybe like aw shucks image that he had cultivated, the guy was a super, super good actor. And he...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he leaves... He goes from one sentence being like, like, and saying something just kind of like timid and, kind of sweet, but maybe kind of simple. And then all of a sudden, the very next sentence has this weird edge to it. And you're like, the fuck is he getting at? Like,
where have we also seen this? So I made a comparison because Norman and the cook from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the father, are scary for the same reason. What did we talk about in that episode? That kind of switch. Because he's, to me, the cook was the scariest character of that movie. Because he can pass. Because he seems like such a nice guy. Like, he seems like the guy that's going to help you if you're stuck on the side of the road. He's the guy that's going to give you a lift. I got some food in the back, and just sit a spell and, relax and take it easy. Come on and hop in. Yeah. It's a little bit of Southern hospitality. And then just, bam! Like, all of a sudden, just this total flip. Yeah. And that's what happens with Norman.
Smack you with a hammer.
Right. Or like beat you with the stick,
Yeah, the stick. Yeah, the stick.
Yeah. So that is what is so scary about this movie. Like, and as you said, Anthony Perkins is a really great actor. His performance is incredibly unsettling.
Yeah.
It's just, it's unsettling. And I don't want to harp on it, but Psycho 2.
Well, and most people,
he turns it up a notch.
That's why most people, if they don't, there's a large contingent of people that think that Psycho 2 is the better movie just as is. I don't know that I'm in that camp, but
I think Anthony Perkins' performance is better in Psycho 2.
I would agree, at least with that Anthony Perkins takes it up a notch.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a reason that he came back to it. I watched a documentary a long while ago that was worked on by Anthony Perkins' son. And it was talking about because what now do we know? What secret was Anthony Perkins, the man, hiding?
Oh, that he was gay?
Right.
Yeah.
Even though he was faithfully married to his wife for his entire life.
Yeah.
And up until the day he died, was still asserting that he was not homosexual.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we have stories that have come out, especially since his death.
Yep.
You know, and his own son acknowledges, like, he's like, you know, I think there are days my dad didn't even think he was gay. Like that there were days that there were days he so deeply convinced himself. You know, he worked so hard to convince other people that he wasn't gay. Yeah. That there were days he denied it so hard he even convinced himself on those days that he wasn't gay.
I don't think that Anthony Perkins is alone in that.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening is the role that Anthony Perkins for many years believed was a black mark on his career, because he actually ended up leaving Universal. He ended up leaving the studio, you know, because this was still during a time when a lot of actors still had like the studio contract. You had to make so many movies for a particular studio. He left because all they wanted to put him in after this was horror films.
Well, I mean,
well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he left, and he like tried to run for many years away from this character. But then come the 80s, and his son had said this was a time period where he still was not open about who he was, but that it seemed like something within Anthony Perkins began to really relate more closely with the character of Norman Bates. That he was more than willing, to come back to it, A, for the right price. But B,
everybody's got their price.
yeah. But B,
Sorry.
because he wanted to be like, oh, I can go other places with, like, you thought I was scary in the first one. I'm going to really go in it.
Right.
And there was something about the character that he connected with, that he was like, I'm going to take this someplace where you don't even think the character can go.
Right.
And that's why so many people agree that he's what makes part 2 so good.
And Dean Cundy.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Dean Cundy.
But where he takes Norman Bates.
Oh, yes. But 2 was the best. So, you know, 3 and 4, again, they weren't bad films. They were okay. They were fine. but it's Psycho 2 that stands out.
Now, but we're coming up soon on the shower scene itself. But before we get there, so Norman has peeped on Marion. They finish their meal. But what other big line? There's one we mentioned the "eat like a bird" line.
Oh, I know what you're getting at.
Yeah,
we all go mad. We all go mad sometimes.
Well, there's that one, and he says a boy's best friend is his mother. His mother.
Yeah.
That.
But I thought the we all go a little mad sometimes is the big one.
That's the big. Yeah, that's the big one.
That's the biggie. Yeah.
But there's a lot of that whole the dialogue between him and Marion. That scene is iconic for a reason. I mean, there's so much stuff going on within the dialogue. This is when people still really wrote really good dialogue, and like they start talking about traps, how people create their own traps, or they there's traps that you risk falling into in life, and all this kind of stuff. And Norman has the line, "I was born in mine." That his mother was the trap. That.
Yep.
Yeah, there's all kinds of just crazy stuff that comes out of that short conversation.
Yep.
But then we get the straight up, set piece of the movie is, of course, the shower scene.
The famous shower scene. Yeah.
The famous shower scene. Vivian Lee getting in, washing herself clean. She's made the decision. I'm going to take the money back. I'm going to make this right.
Is there a more famous scene in horror than this one? In all of horror.
You started to break up there a little bit. A more famous what?
Oh, is there a more famous scene in horror that's bigger? Is there a bigger scene than this one? I don't think so.
Yeah, I really don't. I mean,
in all of horror. Yeah, in
there's
all
lots
of
big scenes, but this is the biggest. And it really is not only that, but I mean, Hitchcock knew this was the scene of the movie. Because number one, right, you've sold the movie on the fact that Janet Leigh is in it. And not only that, but that Janet Leigh is going to be hot in it. Right? Well, he did. He literally had a his whole promotional thing was he made theaters that showed the movie agree to not let anyone in after the movie started. There were signs that they'd put up with him pointing at his watch, saying no admittance after the movie begins, because he said if they're not there to see the first scene of the movie, which is the bra and slip scene, they'll feel like they've been cheated out of their money. So he sold it on the fact that, he sold on the fact that Janet Leigh is smoking hot in the film. He really did.
I gotcha.
And not only that, she's a known star. She is the marquee star of this film. Like, I mean, it's Janet Leigh and Anthony Perkins, right? Even though
which makes this scene all the more shocking and famous because it's, I don't know, what are we, half hour, 45 minutes into the movie?
Yeah.
It's halfway. It's not even halfway through the movie and she's dead.
Right.
This is the executive decision of 1960.
Yes. But yeah, you've killed off your star.
Right.
Halfway through the film.
Right.
And that, and if you want context, think Drew Barrymore Scream.
I like Steven Seagal and Executive Decision better. That was the first 15 minutes, man. He was dead in 15 minutes. I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
True.
Kurt Russell, thankfully, was also in the movie, so he carried the rest of it. But, this was prime Steven Seagal time. Justice was already out, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, like all that stuff. he was Steven Seagal, and now he was in this big movie with Kurt Russell, and you were like, this is going to fucking rock. And you went to the goddamn theater to watch that shit. And then he's fucking falling out of a goddamn plane 15 minutes in. And I was pissed.
As he's going down doing this. trying to windmill his way out of it.
You're lucky he's in Russia, buddy.
But
one thing I wanted to ask you about. Sorry,
go ahead.
We're all over the
go
place.
Ahead.
But one thing I wanted to ask you about the shower scene before we move on from it.
Yeah.
Okay, both terrifying and, hear me out, just a little ridiculous. So what I'm wondering is why, like, some of the shots, like, it's Alfred Hitchcock, so he's brilliant, and I don't want to nitpick here, but just when he's, it's 1960, so there's no bleeping way in hell you're going to watch a knife go into something, even if it's a prosthetic or whatever, right? So it all has to be kind of implied, and we talked about implied horror before, like implied, like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and cutting off the leg and all that stuff. The way you shoot it, you can make it really scary. So I'm wondering why I saw the knife just kind of whiffing on her stomach, like it was in front of her. They showed the hand. They showed knife in hand, Janet Leigh's stomach, but he's doing this. He's kind of stabbing, but he like missed.
Well, so there's two things, right?
Okay.
So
I'm just wondering why he chose to actually show that when he didn't have to.
Right.
And it makes it almost look a little like silly. Like it makes it look like it's a 1960 movie before they wanted to show any, kind of gore or anything like that.
So this scene this in particular was the scene that like Alfred Hitchcock sat over the editor's like shoulder.
Oh my God.
And
can
was
you
like
imagine
going through shot by shot how they were going to put the sequence together.
Well, directors do that, don't they? I mean,
yeah,
John
but
Carpenter probably was standing over a couple people's shoulders like,
yeah, but I mean, there are a lot of directors at this time and even now that, when you hire an editor, you hire somebody, you have meetings about what your vision is, you have like your storyboards,
but you're not standing over their shoulder.
You're not. Yeah, the editor does what they do.
You're not micromanaging the editor,
right? And there have been times in films where editors have made a change against what the director. Their vision was, and then the director seeing the editor's choice was like, oh yeah, that is better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in this case, like it was Alfred Hitchcock, like working with the editor, like making sure that sequence was exactly what he wanted.
Man, editors don't get enough credit, huh? Why? Like, you always hear about the producer and the director of the movie.
Editors have a lot of power.
Every once in a while, you hear about the director of photography, like a Dean Cundy kind of thing, right? But not really. It's always the director and it's always the producer. But editors, man, they're really putting the story together, aren't they?
So here's the myth of Hollywood, right? We're going to get into this just a little bit. The myth of Hollywood
gotta give a little love to the editors, man.
Right. The myth of Hollywood is that it's the directors.
Yeah.
They're the as they say, the auteurs, right?
Sure.
But it's a myth because as we know, when you study movies and you watch documentaries about film productions and things like that, directors don't get final cut much of the time.
Yeah.
The studio reserves final cut. And it's the studio's editor.
Yeah.
So you've shot all this stuff and you and your cinematographer have worked out all these shots and everything. And then you hand it all over to an editor.
Yeah.
And if that editor works for you, great. If the director gets final cut, great. You and the editor work together and make the movie you want. But if you're one of these directors who the studio, they trust you enough to shoot the movie, but they don't trust you enough to do the final crafting and winnowing.
Why is that? Why wouldn't you want the director? I mean, I know it's a lot of work, but like there are some directors that do their own editing, right?
Yeah, there are directors who demand final cut, right? Like Martin Scorsese at this point.
I was just going to say Martin Scorsese, yeah.
Which is why you get a 4-hour Irishman, right? Because Netflix was crazy enough to let Martin Scorsese, at this point in all their careers, have final cut on that movie. But that's how you end up with that.
So fucking long.
Yeah, that's how you end up with a 3 to 4 hour film. Because as good as a director might be, they might not have enough objectivity to decide what works and what doesn't, and they want to keep it all in.
Although Zack Snyder's 4-hour cut of Justice League was better.
Yeah.
I mean, night and day.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
night and fucking day. Like I was like, I hated Justice League. I love Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah,
there are those times when it works, and a director like John Carpenter, like he's the kind of guy that would demand final cut. But see, John Carpenter has always had a very the kind of comparison I would use is he has almost like a music video vision for his, like John Carpenter loves to tell quick, punchy stories. He only puts in what is absolutely necessary to tell that story in the most impactful way. You would never get a 3-hour John Carpenter film.
Right.
Because John Carpenter himself would be like, I don't need all that. I only need an hour and a half to scare the shit out of you.
But there's
right.
But I mean? there's benefits to both. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed Zack Snyder's 4-hour cut of Justice League. I did.
Yeah.
And I sat there for all fucking 4 hours in one sitting. Like I didn't break the movie up at all. Like I just sat there and watched it, and it was really, really good. On the other hand, I do appreciate John Carpenter's quick storytelling because sometimes, I just want to watch a 90 fucking minute movie. I don't need a 2 hour and 30. Like I didn't need like The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was like fucking 8 hours long. Like I love it. Like I probably just said a terrible thing, but like seriously, oh my bleeping God. Like, yes, Heath Ledger was awesome. Like, it was a great movie, but damn, that could have been done in fucking 90 minutes.
But so that's the thing is that, we don't see all the behind the scenes stuff. So, if a studio signs on, they greenlight a property and this director's attached to it or whatever, there might be people at the studio that are like, hey, I know that guy. That guy is not going to be able to edit this thing. Like, we're going to get like some crazy whacked out thing that it's like, a great example. Francis Ford Coppola just came out with that last movie that he did. The what was it? What was the one?
I don't know. Do you want me to look it up?
I'm going to get it. It's the crazy one that he did.
Francis Ford Coppola just recently?
Yeah, and it was a huge Megalopolis.
Oh, Megalopolis. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Megalopolis that he did with he had Adam Driver and Aubrey Plaza and all these. So Francis Ford Coppola, like, he basically produced that entire movie himself so here's the thing. So he produced that movie, right? And when it came to distribution, you would think Francis Ford Coppola, like that's got to be Universal or Paramount or MGM or, Lionsgate. They gave it to Lionsgate.
Wow.
Right? Because as we know, we've watched a lot of great Lionsgate movies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But Lionsgate is where they send the stuff that they don't think is going to be commercially huge. That's where a lot of the horror movies would be Lionsgate.
Absolutely. Lionsgate, absolutely. Yep.
Who would you ever in a million years think that Francis Ford Coppola would have a movie distributed by the Lionsgate banner?
No, of course not.
No, because it's a big, stinking, honking, giant piece of shit that was his, big visionary, this was his big baby, right?
Because it was a giant piece of shit.
This was his big baby,
you see,
right?
Brad, it was this giant piece of shit. Yeah.
So that's the thing. He had to have final cut. I got to make my vision. I got to do. Well, the folks at MGM were like, "Okay, Francis, you want final cut? This is your big visionary. It is
Francis Ford Coppola.
This is the movie that you've been working on, rolling around in your head for the last 15 years, and now you finally want to, do it. Okay, that's fine. We'll give you final cut, but it's getting released on Lionsgate." Right? That's the trade-off. Because if you want to release it under MGM, Francis, we love you. You make good stuff, but we also know you.
Yep.
We've seen all the Godfathers. We've seen all the Godfather movies. If we let you have final cut, we're getting a 5-hour fucking movie, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
so
I know, I understand that I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. But again,
but those
it's
are the back
it's just when the movie calls for it. But the Godfather needed to be that long.
I know. And that's why they determined that it should be that long. But what happens is when you get the Francis Ford Coppolas of the world, that they're they believe so much in this thing that they want to make. Yeah. But you also kind of know that they don't really have a great ability to self-censor and to really winnow that down to a good cohesive story. Well, guess what? That's when the studio says, we want to we'll give you the money, we'll give you everything you need to make it, but we want final cut of the movie, not you. And if
I couldn't tell if you were criticizing Francis Ford Coppola or Rob Zombie.
I mean, it's the door swings both ways, right? But that's how it happens. And so,
can't control himself, right? And the studio knows what you're going to do, so we're going to get control here. We're going to get a little bit of control. You need to be put in a box.
Yeah, and I mean and that's why when we talked about things like House of a Thousand Corpses, I think that I know I'm not the only one. I've talked to people even just recently that are they agreed with me. They were I think House of a Thousand Corpses is probably a better film. And it's because he's one of those guys that kind of needs a fence to really produce his best work, because it forces him to make the hard decisions that he wouldn't make if he was just left to his own devices.
Because we're just going to throw it all in there.
Yeah, it's all going up on the screen.
It's all going in. Yep.
But
every fucking idea I have is going up on the screen.
But
every
Psycho,
weird shit I dreamed about last night is going up on the fucking screen.
But with Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock, it's his own money on the line. He doesn't have a huge budget. He's got to making it in black and white. He was forced into that decision, and it works. Yep. Some of the casting choices and all these different components, he was forced into that box because of what he had to work with. And so when it comes to now, okay, you're telling me this is the money I have. You're not going to give me any extra money to help me do this. I'm gonna just really carve this down to just what I think I need.
Yep.
So now I got to edit this thing, and I know that this death is going to be the most shocking part. This is the centerpiece of the film. So I'm going to sit down with the editor, and we're going to go through, and we're going to craft this scene.
Yeah.
It's 60 shots. It's 60,
It's 60 shots.
It's 60 separate cuts.
That's wild, man.
To produce that effect.
That's wild.
So, like, back to what you asked about, like, why is there a shot where it's just kind of looks like it's kind of grazing or not really doing anything? He wants to, and this is factual. I'm not pulling this out of my ass. He wanted to convey the chaos of the moment. That's why there's so many cuts.
I get it, but just that particular one, I'm just like, you could have left it out.
Well, and when you're attacking, when a serial killer is attacking a person, not every cut hits. This person is fighting. They're moving around. They're flailing their arms, and so he kept shots like that in. Like that's not it. It wasn't like accidental. Like, oh, I didn't have something to go in there, so I just threw that in. They literally went clip to clip to clip to clip and put that together. And not only that, but he also very much wanted to make it so that you really don't see any actual trauma to her body. Because it's that thing we talked about before about the human brain will fill in what it expects it should be seeing.
Right.
And so he knew if he cut it the way he did, if he took these 60 different edits, that the viewer would think they saw things, they saw the knife going in, think that they saw blood coming out. He almost got the scene censored because there were still censors. Like, even though it wasn't the Hays Code, there were still censors from the studio. Mm-hmm. And he almost got it censored because the first time they viewed it, it was something like 6 people. And 3 of the 6 people swore they saw a tit. They swore they saw Janet Leigh's tit on that screen. And he's like, I can guarantee you there is not one titty visible. And they're like, all right, let's watch it again. And they watched it again. And he didn't do anything. He didn't touch it.
Yeah.
They just watched. Like he's like, please. And they watched it again. The 3 that said the first time that they saw the tit said, yeah, you know what? Hitch is right. There's no titty in that. And then the other 3 were like, no, there's a tit.
I saw a tit. I saw a tit. Titties.
And so once that happened and they realized, like, they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, there's no tit. There's no tits in that.
There's no tit.
And I mean, Janet Leigh has said, like, she had like pasties and things on, to cover things up. So it was, it wasn't possible to see it.
Right.
But that's the thing. Their minds were filling all that in.
Yeah.
But that's why we then get the most iconic death scene in all of horror cinema ever,
Right.
Which also then, fun fact, the blood. Do you remember what the blood is?
I don't.
Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Hershey's chocolate syrup, right.
Yep.
So, yeah. Can you answer this question? Why does the private detective keep getting out the passenger side of his car?
I didn't notice that, to be honest.
Every time he gets out of his car, he gets out the passenger side.
Maybe
he does it. It's not. It doesn't happen just once in the movie. It happens multiple times in the movie.
Maybe the driver's side door is stuck.
Well, but they don't explain it. He just looks like a crazy person because he's getting out the passenger side of the car. And I understand it's like, what do they call them? Bench seats, right? It's like bench seating. So he can just slide right over. He slide right over. I get it. But like, even when they had bench seats, like, was that a thing? Can we do we have any older listeners out there that can answer this question? Like, did you guys used to get out the passenger side when you got out of the car from the driver's side to the passenger side?
Did you do that? Did you do
that? Did you do that? Oh, Psycho House.
Yes.
Scariest house of them all, or low on the list, high on the list. This house, the image of this house always scared the shit out of me. Like, that image of the house, like even more than like some other, like the Elm Street house or, the Myers house or whatever. Like the Psycho house was like, gave me the willies.
I would say that alongside of maybe, at least during this time period, probably one of the most iconic houses ever, along with like the Munsters house and like the Addams Family house, but like this one, I don't know that it's so much like scary as it is. The house almost itself is a character in the movie. The house is like a giant physical representation of the mother looming over Norman Bates, and the fact that when he like, just the fact that knowing what we know of the end of the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that when he goes down to like do work at the motel, he props her ass up in the window because in his own fucked up psychology, she has to be like looking over what he's doing at all times.
Right.
So, but it's just a representation of what's going on in his head. You know what I mean? But it's a character in and of itself. And I mean, well, I had a model of it. I had one of the models that I put together and painted of the Psycho house with a little mother that sat in the window.
When did you become aware of Psycho? At what point in your life did you become aware of Psycho?
To be honest, probably when like Psycho 2 and 3 came out, because my mom was a giant Alfred Hitchcock fan and loved Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
And so then in the early to mid 80s, they announced Psycho 2 and then Psycho 3. My mom wanted to watch them.
Yeah.
And I wasn't always allowed to watch, all the stuff at that point because I was still super young. But that's when then I became aware of the original movie and aware of the fact that, it ends with the guy dressed in the mother with the wig and the dress and the Norman, thing, which then my dad's name is Norman. So that made the whole thing weirder.
I get that. Yep.
But yeah, my mom, that's the reason I know about Goodfellas, or not Goodfellas, The Godfather and Psycho. That was my mom. She was into that. She liked Alfred Hitchcock, especially. She really became an Alfred Hitchcock fan with the movie The Birds. Because The Birds was filmed up in Monterey Bay, which was a hop, skip, and a jump from Santa Rosa, which is where she grew up.
Right.
So they like she always felt like that was like their movie. That was like the Northern California movie, you know.
Right.
She could drive up to Monterey and see like all the stuff from the birds.
Right. It's like outside Providence up here.
Yeah.
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 You drive around and see all the shit in that movie.
So now
I was what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead. I was just moving on to another thought, but what did you
no, well, like I asked that question because this was very I was young too when I became aware of this movie. I walked in on my grandfather watching it, and he was just watching it in the living room because there was only one TV in that house. And it was enormous, and it weighed like 800 pounds, you know, because it was like the furniture TVs, you know what I mean? So the screen was this big, but the fucking piece of furniture was like 6 feet long. So he was watching it, and I remember walking in the room and my grandmother like telling my grandfather to turn it off because, you know, it's Psycho. So, and my grandfather going, no, I think he can watch just like a little bit of it, you know, and he let me watch like just a little bit. And I was so excited. And because this was like my grandmother, the only reason I was excited was because my grandmother was having a fit about it.
Right.
So I knew it was like something serious, right? So like
grandma said no.
Grandpa
said
right.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. So I'm like sitting with my grandfather and I'm watching like something called Psycho, which I didn't really know what the fuck that meant. And that's when I became aware of the movie. And it was like one of those early memories that I had that helped kind of form my love of horror. You know, because that was a kind of a moment. My grandfather died. That grandfather of mine died when I was 11. So I didn't get a ton of years with him. So that was one of those memories that I actually had with him. So I had that. And then me sitting with my cousins watching, and my brother watching, you know, the Thriller video, you know, and being terrified of that. And then walking down on my brother during his sleepover, and they're all watching A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. And my brother's telling me how scared I'm going to be and telling me to go back upstairs. And I'm fighting with them that I'm big enough. I can watch this, you know, like those kind of core memories are what kind of built my love for horror. So like Psycho was really, really big in that. So.
Yeah. You know, and it's one of those things where I think that, like when I first became aware of Psycho and Norman Bates and all that kind of stuff, there's like the initial thing of, well, he's not as scary as Freddy. He's not even scary as like the Wolfman or any of those guys, you know. And it really is. You know, you kind of think initially like, oh, how scary is a guy that just dresses up like his mom and, you know, knifes a woman in the shower or whatever. But it's like, it's not until you get older and you can appreciate what's going on in the movie and things like that really
right. It's scarier for adults because, you know, you kind of understand like psychopathy and stuff like that, and you just have more perspective there. You don't get it when you're a kid. I mean,
and not only that, but like we talked about the fact that Norman Bates, the scariest part of Norman Bates is like, you know, I was saying like the scenario of like, if you and I went there, you and I would probably come away thinking, oh, that Norman Bates, he's kind of a bit of an oddball. You know, he lives out there, you know, by himself and runs this motel, but, you know, he's an all right guy. He made us some ham sandwiches. He was pretty cool, you know, and we would drive away thinking nothing more of it, you know, because we're not his type.
Right. Right.
So, just real quick, we gotta talk at least a little bit about the basis for Norman Bates.
Oh yeah, we could do probably a whole nother episode on that.
Yeah, because
I mean, we could just mention it. You know,
yeah,
go ahead.
well, yeah, very quickly. So, one of the books that I read, and I've read it before, but I kind of re-skimmed it in preparation for the episode. I have this book here, Behind the Horror.
Yeah.
And True Stories that Inspired Horror Movies. And of course, they have a section in here about, because there's a common inspiration for both Psycho and for what other movie?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right. So the life.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, this is big right now because Netflix has this very divisive show that they put on. The monster Ed Gein.
Oh yeah, yep. I have not watched it.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
because I struggle. Yeah. I struggle because of the fact that I am kind of a fan of serial killer stories. You know, that side of true crime. With what little I know of Ed Gein, Charlie Hunnam doing Ed Gein is just a little. It's a bridge too far for me, I think.
Right.
And especially hey, if you like it, you like it. I'm not gonna make fun of you because you like something just because I don't, unless it's Hereditary. But like we have like actual audio of what Ed Gein sounded like when he talked.
Yeah.
And apparently Charlie Hunnam made a choice, and I guess the producers were okay with the choice he made, but it sure as hell is nothing like what Ed Gein actually sounded like. Yeah. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, a little bit.
But Ed Gein, it's the monster.
Ed Gein, he's quite a fella.
He's the monster of Plainfield, Wisconsin.
Yep, that's right.
He at the very least definitely murdered at least 2 people that they could definitely prove. Yeah. Possibly grave robbed from many others.
Probably a few more. It's like a lot of serial killers and stuff like that. There's usually more. There's more victims out there than
and probably cannibalized some. Although there's I think he disputed that. He denied that he ate anybody. But he definitely was making a skin suit, a woman's suit.
Yeah.
And we covered him quite a bit. We talked about that quite a bit on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode. So I don't want to rehash all that.
Right.
But I kind of went through and I noticed a few similarities, because when Robert Bloch was writing the novel, he lived in Wisconsin, and so the Ed Gein stuff, I think he was only 40 miles away from where Robert Bloch lived, and so he plugged in some of that stuff into the character of Norman Bates. Mm-hmm. And of course it's very a very mild portrayal. This is not a straight 1-to-1 of Ed Gein, because otherwise Norman Bates would be a whole different creature.
Right.
But he had a stammer, like Norman Bates does. Norman Bates stammers over some words. Overbearing mother. Augusta Gein was like Norma Gein, very overtly religious.
Norma Gein?
No, Augusta Gein. Norma Bates.
Yeah, but never mind. Continue.
Anyway, very, very overtly religious, very moralistic, and beat those moral lessons into Ed Gein.
Yep.
And Ed Gein, of course, infamous for using the skin and bones of both animals and people to create decorations, to create crockery. He would make bowls out of human skulls, to make clothing accessories. He had a skin belt. And of course, they worked that in because Norman is a taxidermist. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how they took Ed Gein and kind of lightened it up for Norman Bates.
Right. Yeah.
And then, of course, the fact that Ed Gein created his woman's suit and Norman Bates dresses up in his mother's clothing.
Yep.
Ed Gein he actually talked to the police about how he sought out a way to preserve his mother's body indefinitely, but never quite figured out how to do it. He never quite figured out how to get all the materials that he needed to do it. And whereas Norman Bates in Psycho, he succeeds in preserving his mother.
Right.
So, Brad, we're slowly but surely coming up on the kind of final culmination. We've had the death of there's the PI, Milton Arbogast. He's the second death in the film. And it is a great shot at the time. Like, I don't know that we necessarily find at least the opening of the shot where, where Mother rushes out and attacks Arbogast.
And the kind of image of him falling down the stairs. Yeah.
Yeah, for a lot of people at the time, that was like, for 1960 audience, the mother rushing out was like a jump scare moment. Mm-hmm. But there is that great shot of Arbogast falling down the stairs. Alfred Hitchcock always kind of found a way to put something really... he almost tried to include like a bit of a magic trick shot in every one of his films, where you had to try to figure out like how the hell did he
do that? Yeah.
Film that.
Yeah.
And because it's not done, like there's no like green screen. Of course, they don't have that at the time. There's no rotoscoping. So how the hell does he get that like image of Arbogast like falling down the stairs and he's waving his arms wildly trying to catch himself on something?
Yeah.
And they had to make a rig with like a chair. He's sitting in a chair on this rig that they would actually like roll down the staircase.
Okay.
To try to get that shot.
That doesn't sound safe though.
No.
No, no. Not, of course not.
So even though it's kind of a bit of a, what we would consider, compared to the shower scene, I kind of consider a bit of a bland kill. It's like he kind of falls down. It's a great shot,
but no, but that's it. Like the shot kind of makes that scene.
Yeah.
So like that's what's unique about that scene. So he gives you kind of different feels there. So I like the kill just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so now we come up on it's basically like Norman Bates was like, they establish at one point that there were, at the end of the movie, the very end, they ask like the local sheriff, if there's any other missing person cases in the area. And the sheriff says, yeah, there's these two other women. And the psychiatrist is like, were they both blonde, like young blonde women? He says, oh yeah. And so we know Norman Bates has at least killed two other women, more than likely.
Yep.
The problem is this third woman that he kills, Marion Crane, is a wanted woman. There's people actively searching. The other two women were probably they probably went to the Bates Motel because it was out of the way. Maybe they were runaways, but people weren't really looking for them.
Right.
But Marion
this
Crane,
girl got stolen money.
Yeah.
And people are looking for it.
Marion Crane stole $40,000. $40,000 that...
Again, the equivalent of almost $500,000 today.
And it's money that Norman Bates doesn't even realize he threw in the trunk because it was rolled up in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And it just as an afterthought, he pitched the newspaper into the trunk of the car before he rolled it into the swamp.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's not only the realization is I killed a woman that people are looking for, but I also fucking sunk $40,000 into the swamp.
Damn it! Damn it! Damn. You gotta, check the car. There could be, fucking valuables in there. You always, come on, man. Amateur hour.
That could have
amateur
been
hour.
A ton of taxidermy materials,
Seriously, thinking, yeah.
But so he's then
stuffing birds for the rest of your life on that.
So then P.I. Arbogast shows up. He's been hired by the guy, the rich guy whose money it was. He's been hired by that guy to find Marion. So he shows up. Norman Bates kills him. And then when Sam Loomis and Lila Crane don't hear back from Arbogast, then they Norman Bates' whole world is getting fucked slowly but surely. He was on no one's radar. Nope. He was living this quiet pervert existence out in the middle of nowhere.
$40,000 is a lot of money, Kyle. $40,000 is a lot of money, man.
He was fine. He had killed 2 women already, did who knows what with their corpses. He was fine.
Yep.
And this Marion Crane with her hot bras and shit and her $40,000 wrapped in a newspaper has to show up and literally fuck his world in the asshole.
Yeah.
And now he's got 2 people at the end of the movie, Sam and Lila, showing up, poking
that
around.
Are coming after Marion, who just sounds like, what are you sticking your neck out for her for?
Yeah.
She's kind of a POS, you know what I mean? So
yeah, Sam Loomis, if Sam Loomis really played his cards right, he would just take Lila. Just take Lila.
She's right there.
Just take Lila, go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very similar. They look a lot alike.
She might not do all the butt stuff like Marion does, but you know
she doesn't
what?
Do the butt stuff.
She cooks a mean casserole.
Yeah.
But yeah, they come poking around, and of course Norman Bates is watching his whole world crumble around him. And there's a whole kind of cat and mouse back and forth that happens at the end. Sam and Norman get into it. And then Norman's going after Lila, and then Sam, there's all this stuff. But then they have that kind of final scene, because now we know this many years out, this many decades out, everybody knows, Norman Bates, the whole scene at the end, he shows up in the mother's dress and the wig and tries to kill Lila Crane and the whole 9 yards. But at the time this came out, you have to imagine at the time this came out, audiences not ever having seen a story like this before in their life, they can't read the book because Alfred Hitchcock went around and bought all the fucking copies up.
Yep.
So they have no idea what's coming. So think about, you have to put yourself in the mind of the person watching this in 1960 in the theater. They've seen all this stuff. They're thinking, Janet Leigh, wow, she's gorgeous. Oh my God, she just got knifed to death in the shower. Did I see tit? I don't know. Something's going on. They see Arbogast fall, go down the stairs, and they're just in the back of their head thinking, how the fuck did they do that shot? I don't know. He's dead though. And now this is going on. All this shit's happening. And the entire time though, they've been hearing these arguments between Norman and Mother.
Right.
And they even see Norman physically carry his mother out of her room and to take her down to hide her in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
That audience in 1960 is sure that the big surprise is going to be who is Mother, right?
Yep.
They're thinking this is Alfred Hitchcock. That chair at the end is going to turn around. That's going to be Betty fucking Davis.
Yeah.
Right?
Betty Davis.
Betty fucking Davis.
Yeah.
Sitting in that chair, fucking psychoed out, right?
Right.
They're never in a million years thinking that
it's a corpse.
It's a corpse and that Mother is in his head and that he is Mother.
He is Mother, yeah.
And so that scene when Lila Crane turns that chair around and she's a desiccated, mummified fucking corpse with a wig on. And then here comes Norman into the room.
Dressed as Mother.
Anthony Perkins looking fucking wild-eyed and whacked out with the fucking knife. He looks like he's jizzing his pants, too. He's
so excited. He looks like a kid on Christmas morning.
I am not exaggerating this, guys. Like, for anybody who's listening to this who hasn't seen the end of Psycho, if you haven't had the pleasure to watch Psycho all the way through,
we're sorry we ruined it for you.
Hey, 1960.
I guess 1960, yep.
But Norman Bates has the biggest fucking O face on at the end of this movie. He comes in and he is jazzed as shit that he is going to knife this girl. Here's another one. I got another one.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna. He thinks he's killed Sam Loomis. Like he's hit Sam Loomis over the head with like a heavy object. He thinks I don't have to worry about Sam Loomis anymore. I'm gonna get to kill Lila Crane, probably have sex with her corpse, and then wear her skin or some shit. Like I'm gonna get to do whatever I want now. And he comes in looking like you said, he just opened up a fucking brand new Nintendo. A brand new Super Nintendo on Christmas morning,
Yep.
That came with Mario, Zelda, and Donkey Kong. Like he's got
crazy, greatest present ever.
And then, luckily, Sam Loomis, just like Dr. Loomis, comes in and saves the day. And his O-face goes from O-face to no-face in like 2 seconds. His fucking face gets all contorted, and it's sort of like he literally is. It's a little bit exaggerated, but he is like completely out of his mind. And also, it's because in the moment that Sam Loomis grabs him, he's pulled out of like kind of that schizoid fantasy that he was in. It's sort of like that all of a sudden. It's really, when we get to the end of the movie, it's in that moment that whatever was left of Norman Bates, like, breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Because the dress is getting ripped off, the wig is coming off, and so it's like the illusion is being broken, and he can't deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, this is after we've seen that Lila Crane sees his room, and his room looks like a fucking little kid's room still.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of weird levels to that shit going on in Norman Bates's head.
Right.
But so we get to the last scene, then the psychiatrist explains
explains everything.
Everything going on. And the psychiatrist, my favorite kind of line that comes out of the psychiatrist's like long Basil exposition. There's two big lines that I love about that monologue. He says, "I got the whole story, but not from Norman Bates, from his mother." And of course, all the guys in the room are like, "What? His mother? His mother? What? Huh? What is he talking about? His mother?" And he goes through the explanation of the split personality, because they even have there, like Alfred Hitchcock did have this great way of, even though he was operating, because Alfred Hitchcock, we now know, like, years later. There's been many biography things done about Alfred Hitchcock, and he was like an outsider, like sexually, like the way he viewed things. Like he was very much like, you could almost think of Alfred Hitchcock as like John Waters of the 50s and 60s. Like Alfred Hitchcock had to present himself to the public as just this very kind of reserved, posh, proper Englishman, and all. His wife went with him everywhere. She was on set for every movie that he filmed and everything. And he was very proper, but that's because of the time period that he lived in. We know that inside and in his very private life, he was a fringe personality, like John Waters would have been for the 70s and 80s, right? And so he even has in the scene, that last scene, they're like, the psychiatrist is like starting to talk about the putting on the dresses and the wigs and everything. And, they write, one of the deputies just goes, he's a transvestite. Right. He goes, no. And the psychiatrist,
nope.
No. Like, he really believes that he's his mother. Like, a transvestite does that for some kind of
pleasure,
sexual purpose, or a pleasure purpose. He says, no, he's doing it because he believes, changes.
Yeah,
and he believes he's his mother.
Yep.
And he has a great line where he says, he was never all Norman. Yeah. So even in the times when Marion Crane is sitting there talking to Norman over sandwiches, he's never all Norman. The mother is a voice in his head constantly. But he was often only mother.
Right.
And I love that line. And so then at the end, we see Norman sitting in the cell because he's asked for a blanket. He's cold. And the deputy has to bring him a blanket. He's got to chill. And then we hear the voiceover in his head of mother talking. Yep. And it's such a great, brilliant way to end the film. Hearing that voiceover by, I think it was, what was her name? Virginia Gregg.
Virginia Gregg. Yep.
And that great, see, I'm not even going to kill this fly. They'll say, see, she couldn't even kill a fly. How could I have killed those women? And it's like, and just the kind of, and then the devious smile. They end with that smile of Norman Bates.
Which Rob Zombie uses at the end of Halloween 2. So you see Laurie Strode, and she's, the ghost mom is coming for her. And she's sitting there, and she just kind of looks up, looks kind of at the camera and smile, and has that devious smile. It's akin to the ending of this movie.
Yeah, and then it also, right before it does the dissolve to the car, because the very last shot is the car, Marion Crane's car being pulled out of the swamp.
Which I wondered if that was a mistake. To have the last shot of the movie not be Norman's face and the devious smile, and then cut to credit. I mean, it did go to credit, but it was they just like black in credit.
There's two things that have to happen at the end of the movie, right? So for the movie to end, he had this idea, which you see, like the only way he gets it is if he does the dissolve, which is for a brief moment over top of Norman's face is like a skull. You got to watch it. There's a split second as it dissolves from Norman to the car that a skull appears over his face, or possibly like the desiccated skull of Mother. and then but you only get that if he does a dissolve to something else. You know what I mean?
But why can't it just fade to black that way, though?
I think the worry is it makes it too obvious that there's a skull there. I think he wants it to be like a thing that you have to like really notice.
Okay, fine, but then take it out.
Yeah, but then also there's a bit of a storytelling convention that to end it on just Norman, as much as the whole movie's been disturbing, right? But it's kind of like one of those older conventions of like, you have to kind of end it with like the bad deeds coming to light, it's like, oh, here now we're getting that last resolution of she's being pulled from the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
She's, her body's going to go and have a proper burial, and the money's going to go back to who it, was, but that it sort of ends with this nice bow around it. So probably if Alfred Hitchcock, if there was, you might say if there was one thing that if he was making that movie today, he would have left out, it would have probably been the car at the end. But it kind of fits in with like that, the style of movie making for that time period for 1960, that they kind of end it with like a resolution of like, and the darkness is coming into the light again.
You got to buck that. You got to be the director that bucks that. Yeah. So if we have to put a button on it, Brad, what is the button to this movie? Wow. It's a classic, and if you haven't seen it, it's an absolute must. It was in our top 20. God, I think it was my number 10. So I think it was in my top 10. It's I really do like this movie. I have to emphasize that, because I feel like sometimes movies you're told growing up that this movie or that album or this or whatever is the greatest ever, and you have to kind of abide by that. And so you just kind of, maybe you appreciate it for what it did for the horror genre kind of thing, but you're just maybe not into it or whatever. I enjoy this movie because I love the like I said, the black and white. I love that it's in black and white. I love the way he uses all the shadows and stuff like that in the movie. And then I love Anthony Perkins' really, really unsettling performance. And then again, the classic Alfred Hitchcock kind of cool shots that are in the movie. It's a really, really good movie. So there's a reason it's so revered, and you kind of have to watch it that way. But yeah. I don't just appreciate the movie. Like, I watch this on my own, like when we're not, talking about it or whatever. But again, I do often go to Psycho 2. But I do watch this as well. So like this one and Psycho 2 for sure. So, but it's a wonderful movie. It's really well done. It's a master class in filmmaking. And again, Anthony Perkins is perfect. So,
and how to make good scares on a tight budget, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It's on Shudder right now. So if you hurry up, I don't know how much longer they're going to have it on there, but they've got like 4 different Alfred Hitchcock films right now. They have Psycho, they have Rear Window, they have The Birds, and they have Vertigo. So if you want to cram in your Alfred Hitchcock for Halloween, now's the time to do it. It's on Shudder.
Yep.
So that's going to be the end of our Halloween special episode, our long Halloween episode on Psycho. We made it an extra special episode.
Yep.
I'm going to get this out before Halloween. We're going to drop this before Halloween because, once again, we're doing a Shocktober giveaway, and we're giving away to a lucky listener an official Nosferadude t-shirt. So 2 ways to enter. You can find the post about the Shocktober giveaway on our Facebook page, and you can leave a comment, just saying how much you'd love to have a shirt or how much you love the show or whatever. Wish us a happy Halloween even. Or you can email us at nosferadudes@gmail.com. And again, let us know, give us a happy Halloween. Just even say, I want a t-shirt, whatever. Just drop us a line. Let us know you're interested. And we'll pick the winner on Halloween. Winner picked at random. Again, only 2 rules. Got to be in the United States, and you can't be related to us. It's got to be fair. So we'll pick the winner on Halloween. We'll contact the winner, get your shirt size, and we'll get one shipped out to you. And then we'll even probably announce your name on the next episode we do after Halloween. So please.
Good luck.
Good luck. Enter as many times as you want. We're only going to pick one name, but enter as many times as you want.
Sure.
And Brad, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Kyle.
And on that note from me.
And me.
Thanks so much for listening. Happy Halloween to you all. And remember, the broadcast is coming from inside the house. And it's the Bates Motel house. Nah, man.
That was a long episode.
Yeah, it was.